Welcome to SibSpot. Today's stories from Reddit are from Am I the Bad Guy? Story 1 is by I Am Iron Man 22. Am I the bad guy for not hosting a party my wife planned earlier this week when I had planned long ago to only play video games this weekend? So, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out today on the Nintendo Switch, and I have been looking forward to and planning for this game for years. Zelda has always held a place in my heart where I can escape the mundane of daily life, especially as an adult who works a full-time job, pays the bills, etc. No kids in the household, it's just me and my wife. Starting 6 or so months ago, I told my wife that when this game came out, I would essentially become a hermit and go into a hole for the entire weekend on its release. I would eat, sleep, breathe Zelda. I continued to reiterate to her my plans every time the topic came up, and even more so as the game got closer to release. I took time off of work as I put this on my work calendar as soon as I knew the launch date. Fast forward to earlier this week, I reminded her again that I would be essentially disappearing on the weekend to do what I want to do, which is play the new game all weekend. She then plans a movie night with a bunch of neighbors for tonight on launch day. I made sure to clean up the house, do the dishes, and even did like 4 loads of laundry and reorganized the linen closet in preparation for this weekend. The time for the party rolled around and I took a break from playing, made all the popcorn and set up everything in our home theater for her, and then went back to play my game. As guests showed up, I welcomed them in and showed them the ways to the theater room and continued to play my game. When the movie was over, I greeted them again as they left, and I helped clean up the kitchen on another short break. Fast forward to now, my wife is mad at me for playing my game downstairs while she hosted the movie night alone. She said it was weird and stupid that I couldn't carve out a couple hours for this movie night. It's just a stupid video game, she's saying. I reminded her that I made the plans for this weekend months ago, and that what I did doesn't contradict what I've been telling her I would do for months now. So am I the bad guy for playing my new game while she hosted the movie night? 100%. Absolutely not the bad guy. You told her months and months in advance. Some women, though, don't understand that video games, which are a hobby, can be important to people. It doesn't matter one iota if she doesn't like it, and I agree with many of the comments that says that she deliberately did this. She knew you had this plan, and she did this to spite you for some reason. You keep doing your thing. She's the bad person, not you. Let her be mad. She is in the wrong. Top comment by Diminishing Patience said it clearly. Not the bad guy. She arranged this when she had known for months what your plans were. You did a lot of preparation for her event, took breaks to speak to her guests, and even help her clean up after her event. She's being utterly unreasonable. She said it was weird and stupid that I couldn't carve out a couple hours for this movie night. I'm afraid this was done deliberately. It's just a stupid video game, she is saying. Yes, deliberately. She did it on purpose. Our next story is by I'm the Carn. Am I the bad guy for calling the Homeowners Association on the neighbors for installing a 25-foot-tall bouncy castle and water slide in their backyard? I never thought I would be in this position, but I am the one who sought out the 75-year-old members of the Homeowners Association board for assistance. Having said that, I feel like I was very patient and accommodating, but just got pushed too far. But still, anytime you call the HOA, you might be the bad guy. My neighbors started out in February or March with a bouncy castle in their yard. I could not see it, but I could certainly hear it when the kids would start bouncing at 4:30 or 5 a.m. It honestly seemed that the kids would wake up really early and the parents would send them outside so they could sleep. But it was incredibly loud. I had a polite conversation with the parents and they assured me the bouncy castle was temporary. I put up with it for probably 3 weeks, nearly every day until I explained that I worked nights and I was being woken up right as I was getting to sleep. To their credit, they stopped jumping early in the morning and everything was fine until 3 weeks ago when a huge bouncy castle suddenly appeared in their backyard. It was at least 25 feet tall. It completely blocked my view of the mountains. I could see the kids were able to look right into my bedroom window from the top. Unfortunately, this coincided with a shift change for me, and now the kids were up until 11 to 12, even 1 a.m. on some nights, and now I had to wake up at 4:30. I didn't even realize it was also a water slide until I realized that probably hundreds of gallons of water had run under our shared fence and actually pushed all my dog's poop up against my back door. I went over and talked to them, and the dad essentially said, "We were polite enough to change our schedule for you the first time. This is our backyard. F you." I decided something had to be done because potentially my house could be damaged, let alone the sleep issue. So I called the HOA, and however that machine works, my neighbors had been called in front of a board meeting, fined about $1,000 for covenant violations, as well as being ordered to pay for damages to our joint fence. I thought everything was good except some dirty looks from the neighbor, but literally every one of my family and friends are saying I'm the bad guy for going to the HOA. While opinions vary, the general gist is I'm now the crabby neighbor ruining kids' fun. That I should have gotten some noise-canceling headphones and ignored it, and they would have popped the slide at some point anyway, and it would have been taken care of by itself. The idea, I guess, is that I tattled and got my way by unleashing a bunch of busybodies with too much time and too much undeserved power. Am I the bad guy? The comments put it best. This is a summary of what they all kind of said. Normally, HOAs are a nightmare to deal with. You hear horror stories about massive Karens running a strict HOA and imposing fines for every little thing they can. But in this case, you were in the right. Your property was being damaged and they were being noisy until 1 a.m. or playing at 4 or 5 in the morning. That had to be awful. I hate when I can't sleep because there's noisy children outside. Like, I used to live next to some really noisy kids, and believe me, you just want to go apeshot on them. I understand that kids can be noisy at times, but they had a sister that would literally scream at the top of her lungs when she wasn't getting her way. I'd always hear her say, "No, stop it!" And then she'd literally scream like she was dying. She'd shriek and scream unintelligibly. It was clear that these parents that never did anything in the backyard with their kids, like never trained them properly and just sent them outside to scream bloody murder in the neighborhood so that they could have peace inside the house. Then we actually have other neighbors that are always out playing with their kids and they giggle and laugh a little and they yell on occasion. They're playing chase or tag or whatever and little shrieks here and there, but nothing big. So it's totally fine as long as they're not screaming outright and being obnoxious. Thank God the ones that were noisy moved years ago. Thank God. Our last post is by TYBFK. Am I the bad guy for asking my brother and his girlfriend to get a hotel? My older brother and his girlfriend were planning to come visit me for several days. I was pretty excited and he was too. We talked on the phone for a bit about plans and such. Let me preface by saying we were both raised in a rather traditional, old-fashioned family. My brother broke out of the traditions and adopted a less strict lifestyle. Me, on the other hand, I still adhere to some of those traditions. When it came to sleeping arrangements, I told my brother that he could have my room and his girlfriend would get the guest room and I would sleep on the pull-out couch. My brother laughed and said he wouldn't want to put me out of my bed and said he'd share the guest room with his girlfriend. I told him that I really wasn't comfortable with that because I believe that an unmarried couple shouldn't share a bed. He told me it's a different time and a different era. I told him I was still uncomfortable. Things got pretty heated, and then I told him if he wants to share a room with his girlfriend, he's going to have to do so at a hotel because he knows what I believe and how I feel. He hung up on me. Several hours later, after it had cooled down, I called my brother to apologize for getting upset, but he told me that he's considering canceling the trip altogether because he feels like I'm forcing my beliefs on him and his girlfriend. Am I the bad guy? I'm gonna let this one be answered by no throw. You're going to probably see a lot of your house, your rule type not the bad guy votes. They are correct. You can do whatever you want with your house. Absolutely. But you can technically be correct and still be a bad guy, which is the case here. You're the bad guy. Today's stories have come to a close. I hope you enjoyed your stay here at SipSpot. Until we meet again, have a perfect day.